Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we've got another story about another company that got woke, who is now reaching the inevitable conclusion, going broke. And this time, this video is a bit of a twofer too, since the company we're talking about not only tried to get woke and then went broke, but also, they're vegans. Another one of our least favorite groups on the internet. Not all vegans are bad, of course, but a lot of them for sure are, for some reason, and well, this time it's really no different. Today we're talking about the story of a vegan cafe in Australia, who first came to prominence about 2 years ago, in 2017, when they announced they would be introducing an 18% man tax, in an effort to offset the supposed gender pay gap. You guys probably remember that bullshit too, since we've covered it here on the show many times before, but for a quick recap, for those who don't know, the gender pay gap is a myth, used by social justice warrior women who think they deserve more money for doing less hours of work at less intense jobs. Their claim is that since on average women make less per year than men, that means there's some sort of sexist bias in the system. They don't really present any proof for that claim though. No reports of sexist behavior and no documents or emails or videos proving any sexism whatsoever. No, all these radical leftists have is the fact that men make more on average, which is found by taking surveys and looking through people's taxes. And the real reason men make more is because we work more hours, and more intense and more dangerous jobs too. Not to mention men are more likely to get into fields like science, medicine, or computer programming. While women, on the other hand, they tend to gravitate towards teaching, office work, and healthcare. Nothing wrong with these choices either, but if you want to make more money, becoming a second-grade teacher isn't going to cut it. Regardless of these easily identifiable reasons for the disparity of income between the sexes, well, SJWs like the ones running this vegan cafe in Australia, they still pretend there's some sort of sexist, racist injustice going on in the system here, when there's really not. And it's really no surprise that people with this kind of mindset and these kinds of dumb ideas like the man tax, well, it's really no surprise that their cafe is going out of business either. For more details on this vegan cafe going broke, let's read an article from a local Australian news source called Melbourne Cafe Handsome Her Closing 2 years after introducing man tax. And just below that title, an introduction reads, Melbourne cafe owners who introduced an 18% gender pay gap surcharge in 2017 say they became the punching bag of the internet. And well, that's not really surprising. This cafe deserved to be a punching bag online. If you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes, as they say. Meaning, this cafe clearly expected some kind of reward for excluding and ridiculing half the population with its insulting man tax. They were virtue signaling to other SJWs, but here's the problem. SJWs are the worst kinds of customers to pander to. They have no money, and even if they do, they don't really end up supporting woke companies like this in the long run. No, all you can hope to expect is lip service from SJWs and other people like this. So, it's really not surprising that this pandering to them and this strategy failed the restaurant in the end. But let's go ahead and read on in this article anyway and see what else is going on. A vegan cafe in Melbourne's north, which became the punching bag of Melbourne after introducing an 18% man tax, is closing down so its owner can pursue some hands-on work. Handsome Her opened in 2017 and made international headlines with a bold approach to making a difference in closing the gender pay gap. The owners of the Brunswick venture asked men to pay an 18% premium, 1 week a month, and advertised ruled on a chalkboard out front that included, women have priority seating and respect goes both ways. The tax paid by male diners went to Elizabeth Morgan House Aboriginal Women's Services. Owner Alexandra O'Brien said in August 2 years ago that the tax wasn't strictly enforced. Okay, sure, this is some kind of gimmick which people don't really have to follow. And the proceeds even went to a charity, so it's hard to fault them completely here, but this was a dumb idea based on a lie to begin with. Alienating half your potential customers in order to try and fix sexism is just stupid. And it's also kind of hypocritical. I mean, it's not like any of these male customers at the vegan cafe, they're not the males responsible for the supposed gender pay gap, which isn't even a real thing, but even assuming it is, they're really taxing the wrong men here. And to make things even worse, the cafe is essentially combating supposed sexism by being sexist themselves. Charging one group more than another is not fair either. Which brings me to my next point here. These types of SJWs don't even really want things to be fair. They complain as if women are really getting the shaft in the workplace, implying they want things to be fair and even, but really, as we can see with this man tax, they actually want women to be above men and to get special treatment. So yeah, make no mistake, this isn't even about things being fair, because not only are things arguably already fair, but in the end, these radicals aren't proposing things that would even make things fair if they worked out. They would make things more preferable for the women. If people aren't comfortable paying it or men don't want to pay it, we're not going to kick them out the door. It's just a good opportunity to do some good, Miss O'Brien said. Owners revealed the cafe's imminent closure in a post on Facebook, saying they had expected to make a stir but received more than their share of negative feedback, even from their own community. We were just one little tiny shop on Sydney Road that was trying to carve out a swath of space to prioritize women and women's issues, and suddenly we became the punching bag of Melbourne and the internet. Well, that's the thing, ladies. Your suggestion wasn't really doing some good for women and their issues. Something more realistic, like say, raising an actual discussion as to why women make less on average, that would have certainly been more productive. It wouldn't have been easy or a fun, juicy headline, but if you really want to address why women are making less on average, having a discussion and talking about it straightforward without lies and preconceptions, that's a good place to start. You could have also discussed why women choose certain professions and industries to work in, or why they work less hours at less intense positions as opposed to men. But no, instead, they blame this all on sexism, which is just wrong and unproven. And also, they did this all in an offensive, anti-male way. Not really surprising since, as you'll see in the next bit here, the owners are also lesbians too. No wonder they hate men and blame us for all their follies. And also, vegan progressive lesbians really is starting to get a little obnoxious. It's also further limiting their customer base or target audience even more. No wonder this shit went out of business. There's only so many gay, vegan, radically left women out there in Melbourne. Yes, we are the evil, discriminatory, man-hating to charge men more when didn't you know the wage gap doesn't even exist? Owners said they tried not to engage with negativity online, but we're happy to discuss the policy respectfully in-house. When we learned that it wasn't only men's rights activists targeting us, yet people from within our own communities, we encouraged respectful and robust debate, they wrote. Well, that is a good sign, I suppose. These lesbian vegan hippies screwed up so bad, even their fellow lesbians, vegans, and hippies started calling them out for it. But while that's a good sign for those groups, in a way, especially considering how defensive and tribalistic they usually are, well, that's a good sign for the leftists. Well, that's also really a bad sign for this vegan cafe, Handsome Her, which is a dumb name, by the way. No, this all means that Handsome Her blew it so bad, like really bad, they went so far that their own tight-knit groups are in fact turning on them and cutting ties, even though they hardly ever do that. We encouraged a range of diverse opinions from all intersections of society and insisted that people critique their inner fear of conflict with inquisitiveness and openness rather than hostility. We do not believe in the age-old practice of silencing women as a way of stifling debate and avoiding conflict. We embrace conflict and leaning into the discomfort and think the world would be a better place if people would stop apportioning blame to others and start taking responsibility for their own contributions. If only we approach difficult discussions with a commitment to seek to understand rather than just being understood. Boy, that's an overwritten mouthful right there. I wonder what PR or intern wrote that for them. The cafe's last day is April 28th. Supporters expressed sadness online after owners announced the closure. I'm so sad to hear that you are closing, but I am so grateful to have been able to visit you, Carly Wiskin wrote on the cafe's Facebook page. Well, you and other social justice warriors certainly didn't visit and spend enough money at this cafe to keep it running and profitable. As I said before, the best you can expect from these kinds of progressives is just lip service. They will talk and sing your praises all day, but just don't expect them to get out their wallets and spend any money on you. And how ironic for the store to claim it wants to stop blaming others and start taking responsibility. Hate to break it to you, ladies, but you're not practicing what you preach here. Believing in the gender pay gap myth is blaming others, and it's not taking responsibility for your own actions. Think about it. This cafe is charging men 18% more. This implies it's their fault that women make less than them. So now they're getting taxed for that. So they can also even give those tax monies to other women. So that's not really taking responsibility for yourselves now, is it? Not on the women's side. They're still blaming men and punishing them for their lack of money. Congratulations on the amazing work you have done for women's communities. Astrid Wolger Ryan wrote, "You will be missed and not forgotten." Kristen Dresden said, "The cafe was run by beautiful people in a beautiful space." Beautiful people? Really? Did you even see the picture of the owner and the head chef? Yikes. "Thank you for all you have done and will continue to do," she wrote. "As a vegan activist who went blindly and it turns out very naively into that role, having no idea how much I would offend people by simply trying to make the world a better place, I feel your frustration, your determination, and your resilience. Much love and gratitude." According to the federal government's own statistics, the gender pay gap for Australia's full-time workers is 14.1%. Women earn on average $239 per week less than men. Wow. Even this article and its writer are trying to stand up for this cafe, pretending this gender pay gap is a result of unfair sexism. It's not. And as we've said time and time again here, women make less on average because they work less hours hours at less intense and experience required jobs. Simple as that. So with that said, once again, this whole bit about the people simply trying to make the world a better place is nonsense. They weren't saving the world here. None of them were. But I'm not surprised they frame it like this either. Liberals always want and need a cause, and they will always pretend the world is going to end if you don't listen to them. See some of my videos about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for examples on this. But back to the vegan cafe for now. In the end, the only people they are making the world a better place for is themselves. And they've narrowed down their group so much by now, they're hardly even relevant to 1% of the population. I mean, really, how many gay, progressive, vegan women are out there in the world today? Or more specifically, how many left-wing lesbians and vegans do you think there are in this small area of Melbourne, Australia, where this vegan cafe is located? Because I think we can already safely assume there's not that many there, because if there was, this business wouldn't be shutting down after only 2 years of being open and introducing this ridiculous policy. What do you guys think? Is the gender pay gap still a thing we should take seriously in 2019, current year? Might as well say the earth is flat too, because both of these theories have just as much credibility. And what do you think about this vegan cafe taxing men? Does that make things more fair? Or is it just reverse sexism that's pretty hypocritical too, coming from a group claiming to be anti-sexist? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.